welcome to this very simple beginner's Ayurvedic cleanse. So, in my efforts to make this accessible, um, I have dumbed down the details. And so I hope that it doesn't do any injustice. But what I do hope is that it becomes like a stepping stone for anyone who participates in this cleanse, that it does feel doable and achievable and does breed results. It's not a traditional Ayurvedic cleanse, and it's not the cleanse that I was that I was trained in from my teacher when I did my studies, but it's a variation that I've created. Just like as a yoga teacher might go, "Oh, you're not ready for that pose yet. Let's do a modification," and it's a slightly easier version. This is like the modification for people who are beginners at Ayurveda or cleansing or the yoga lifestyle, beginners with trying plant-based or vegetarian eating. So it's it's designed that way for a reason, not out of any disrespect for the full protocol or the level of detail to which Ayurveda is able to offer people. Um, but specifically over the years, I realized that, oh, this really, works a little more effectively in helping people get onto participating and executing for longer than a few days, so that they're able to get the layers of benefits, not just for the body, but also for the mind as well. So, welcome. For anyone listening back, you can reach out to me anytime. We do this cleanse every change of season. So I will continue to run this cleanse next year as well in the same format. And what I hope to encourage is that you can participate to your capacity each time. So the first time you do it, it may feel a little bit clunky and a little bit like, oh, what is this? What is this? I was actually just saying to a friend of mine the other day who laughs that I have like three shows that I watch the same series over and over again, and I'm up to my fifth round of watching Suits. And I said, oh, it's so nice when with repetition, because you can appreciate the nuances and the layers and the other parts and components of it, that when something is new, you're kind of like strapped in and in for the ride, and it's like, oh this, and then everything's a surprise and every outcome is like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen. And it's kind of like that with health and well-being and adding new habits to our life, and particularly this cleanse. I find people, when they do it the first time, every day is like a new challenge, and you don't know what to anticipate mentally or emotionally. But when you start to repeat the cleanse, at this time of transition of season, which we'll talk about later on, why it's a good time to do it then. The more you repeat it, the more you greet it with more ease and confidence mentally and emotionally. You kind of know what you're up for, so you're able to let go of some of the psychological stress and preparation around what's going to happen next, or I didn't expect to feel that way, or oh my god, what is this feeling on day 3. So so I do encourage dropping in when you can, and perhaps on the first round you'll muddle your way through, you'll suss it out, you'll poke around, you'll do what you can, which for some people they do 1 or 2 days and they're like, oh, it felt great, I got some great insights, I've kept the emails for when I want to do it again, and I'll have another go at it. Other people really will experience, 3 or 4 days. Oh my gosh, it feels amazing. 5 days, some people start losing weight as well. Doing the full week, you definitely notice a variety of benefits mentally, emotionally, and physically from the cleansing. Like it is really effective and has a fringe benefit of helping you balance out your weight as well. So whether that's to gain a little bit of tissue or to lose a bit of tissue, what we're doing is working on balancing the body and the energetics in the body, so that nature's intelligence can nourish the body in the way that it needs. So please take it in your own stride, and don't feel, one thing I really, as a coach, one thing I really strive to do is hold people's hand and support you in having a positive psychological experience, so that you can start to break down the negative psychological patterns around, oh, I failed again. Oh, I could only do it for 3 days. Oh, I couldn't do this, which means that I'm weak, which means that I have no self control, which means, and we go round and round in circles and create all these stories in our head about why we're no good or why we couldn't or why blah, 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 blah. That experience is so common. And this is why I feel coaching is so powerful and so wonderful as a complementary modality to all health modalities, because it allows us to understand the psychological processes and normalities around embracing new things. And in the health realm, we want to have a positive um, relationship with healthy habits and healthy experiences. And often we shoot ourselves in the foot by reactively going into a negative loop. So I want to just invite you to not go there. Do what you can, and the next time you go, you'll know what you're up for, and it'll be easier to go maybe an extra day or two, and then the next time again might be easier to do it another day or two until eventually build up to doing it for 3, 4 to 7 days. So with that little pre-frame, I do really want to support you guys. Please reach out anytime. Um, and just let me know how you're doing. There are it's quite a journey going through any cleanse, even though this is such a gentle and doable cleanse, because you have 3 meals a day. You do generally have, if you eat the meals as per the guidelines, you still have a inverted commas full calorie count for the day, whereas a lot of cleanses and detoxes, if you're only consuming juice throughout the day, that can be really challenging. Or if you're fasting, or if you're only consuming lemon water and maple syrup for 10, 20 days straight, or water fasting, obviously they're a lot more intensive and a lot more stressful, but completely different, amazing benefits and outcomes. But I really wanted to offer something that people can do time and time again that integrates with your daily life in a way that feels doable. You get to eat your meals. If you are in a social setting where everyone's sitting down to a meal, you can actually sit down and have a meal too. Just bring your own food or prepare accordingly. You don't have to be sitting there feeling awkward and feeling a little bit like, oh, maybe I should break my cleanse. I don't know if I can't socialize right now because so it's just about being making it practical and doable. All right. With that being said, let's get into it. So, this webinar is just to orient, like a little bit of an orientation for your experience. We're going to look at the objectives and outcomes of this cleanse, the 3 phases of this cleanse process, also how to support your mind during the cleanse, and if you have any questions at the end, we can jump on that as well. So, you should have received in your cleanse kit a detox outline for your nutrition, some gentle workouts as well, and a few other bits and pieces in there. The yoga videos as well that I've got in there as well. They're just so everything's convenient and mapped out for you. But when it comes to the food, I cannot um, reinforce enough that it's just a guide, it's just a template to give you an idea of what to consume throughout the cleanse, because I'm such a practical person that I'm like, oh yeah, just stick to these foods. And I have inside the cleanse, you'll see the orange box that's like, okay, just stick to whole foods, no stacking between meals, blah, 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 no stimulants. And then don't eat these things and only eat that. There you go. There's your cleanse. Off you go. It's people like, yeah, but what food? Tell me what to eat. you know, Please map it out for me so I do not have to think. So the cleanse protocol is all mapped out for you so that you don't have to think, and so that the meal plan is there as an idea. So if you look at what's scheduled in for that day and go, oh, that's not to my liking, that doesn't fit with the seasons right now, or I know my constitution can't handle that kind of food, don't feel obligated to eat it or like you must eat it to get the benefits from the cleanse. Have a look at something similar. If there are veggie sticks or something offered on that day and you're just like a hell no to any kind of raw food or veggie sticks, if some people love it and thrive off it, some people like, I cannot digest that. You could steam. You could steam those veggie sticks and make it more accessible for your digestion. If there's lots of salads in some of the meals and you're not really into salads, you could compensate with steamed veggies or sauteed veggies instead. So just keeping that focus of looking at what's on each meal and going, okay, this one's a fruit meal, or okay, this one's whole grains and vegetables. How can I recreate that to suit my needs? Um, all right, let's get into it. Objectives and outcomes. So every cleanse and detox out in the world has a slightly different objective. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, there are certain things that Ayurveda does like to target, and that is to do with balancing your Agni, your digestive fire, your digestive capacity, um, and helping to rejuvenate that so that it's functioning optimally. Another objective is to reduce toxicity in the body. So I see a lot of conversations about this from medical professionals attacking wellness professionals saying, hey guys, stop talking about toxins in the body because blah, 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 and you can't clear toxins with nutrition. There's no peer reviewed journal to support that. But I want to highlight that they're talking about two different things. So it's a bit of a language barrier from a medical perspective. Toxins in the body often refers to actual chemical poison that you can see through a microscope, measure. Um, it's toxic to the body, it leads to death type thing. And it can create organ dysfunction and failure and things like that. Where from an Ayurvedic perspective, they talk about toxins as ama, which is a uh, buildup of undigested foods and other foreign matters in the body that don't belong in the body. And over time, if your digestion isn't working well and you're not digesting foods properly, and things start to hang around in your gut and stick around, just even little um, microparticles of things, but compounding over time, it starts to build up into a sticky film of dead mass. Different to kapha. Kapha has sticky qualities and it's mucousy, but it's a dosha. It is empowered with nature's intelligence. Whereas ama is like a dead gunk that can line your stomach, like your gut in general, all the way through your digestive system. And when it starts to build up, what happens is when we go to digest our food, we start to digest and assimilate the toxins from the ama into our bloodstream as well. And so that starts to accumulate into feelings of fatigue, lethargy, um, and it can even initiate the early stages of disease as well, the disease process. Um, yeah, so it's two different things, but it makes so much sense when you hear it broken down to what are we actually cleansing, you know? It's kind of like wear and tear on the body, and just, nature, it's natural that we go and live our lives, we have quality of life, we engage in all different kinds of, enjoyment and foods that we like to eat. We stay up late, we don't exercise for a while, and we overeat and all kinds of different things. We eat processed foods, and slowly, slowly over time, that all just starts to build up and does start to tax our whole system. So that's really what we're trying to do, is reduce that toxic buildup in our body. And when we've rested and rejuvenated our agni, and when we've cleared some of this ama buildup, uh, it can help to improve the way that we assimilate nutrition and nutrients into the body. So it means that, when our agni is compromised and there's toxic buildup of ama in the body, we can eat a meal and get some of the nutrients through, but still feel heavy, foggy. Our body is a little bit slow to digest and assimilate. We may have either diarrhea or constipation. But if we work to support Agni and reduce Ama, we might start to notice that when we eat that same meal, oh, I feel energized after my meal instead of feeling like I need to have a nap. And wow, the digestion is like clockwork now. I go to the toilet comfortably and easily on a daily basis, regularly. And then when those things start to happen, the assimilation and elimination is more balanced, then we can start to experience increased energy levels, which is yes, great, fantastic. And a decrease in inflammation in the body in general, and improvements in general quality of diet. So, inflammation is another one of those things that tends to plague most of the population when the doctors are vitiated, or if there's any signs and symptoms of the disease process manifesting. Inflammation is usually at the core of it, or at the root cause of it, in different ways. So um, that inflammation can be exacerbated by too much sugars, too much processed foods and things like that. And again, just living in alignment, out of alignment with nature's optimal ideal for how we are to live through our lifestyle behaviors. Dinacharya, with syncing with the biorhythms of nature, so we're living in a harmonious way. So this cleanse is really about starting to work on those key factors so that we can have these outcomes of just feeling more of ourselves again, and feeling like the food that we're eating is contributing to our health and well-being. We want to wake up feeling refreshed, not wake up feeling foggy and having to like stumble to the coffee machine to try and get our day going. um, Really just trying to reduce that load on the unnecessary load on the body so that we can start to feel more vibrant. Okay, so moving on to the actual layout of this cleanse. This is again my modified version of breaking things down to make it a little bit more doable for people. So instead of just going, okay, I got the cleanse, let's do this, and then going and cleaning out your pantry and throwing out all stimulants, all processed foods, everything goes in the bin, and all sugar, and then tomorrow you wake up for your first day of your cleanse and you feel like you've been hit by a truck, migraine sets in, um, inflammation in the body, pains. And it's like, wow, it is like a detox, it is like a drug addict detoxing in a mild way. We want to avoid that experience ideally. I just believe it doesn't have to be that way. So, what I like to encourage is a pretox, which we'll go over in a minute. And then once you've progressed from that pretox phase, you can hopefully gently ease into the detox phase. And then it's important to not just drop off the detox as well, to have a strategy in place for transitioning off that detox and maintaining some of the healthy habits that you've established. So with the pretox, I recommend about 3 days. You can do up to a week on the pretox, though. It just depends how much time you want to spend focusing on your self-care and your nutrition. During this pre-tox phase, slowly wean off stimulants and processed foods. So if you're somebody that has 3 coffees a day and like a couple of processed snacks once or twice a day, I would recommend going through a process of weaning by going, okay, day one, I'm going to go down to 2 coffees and just one processed food snack. Uh, and then the next day, I'm going to go down to 1 coffee and maybe a mouthful of a processed food snack, or removing that snack altogether and supplementing it with something else that is a healthier version, a fresh fruit, or um, veggie sticks, or a cup of sea veggies or something like that. I know it sounds like boring, and just remember this is temporary and it is a cleanse. It's not a forever thing. It's just to support your body through this short period of time. So another way of weaning off coffee is to go, okay, yeah, reduce your coffee intake and supplement it with milder stimulants such as tea. So if you were to drop 2 of your coffees, to say you're going from 3 coffees down to 1 coffee in the afternoon, allow yourself 2 cups of tea or 3 cups of tea. And then the day before you hit the cleanse phase, if you're giving up stimulants altogether, be just drinking tea that day before, up to 3 or 4 cups maximum, so that when you do go into the cleanse phase, it's not as much of a feeling of being hit by a truck. And during the cleanse, if you do get desperate and you feel like, oh, I just need a stimulant, I would go, or I encourage green tea. If you can just have 1 or 2 cups of green tea throughout the day to take the edge off and allow you to continue functioning and not losing your mind, um, do that. And as I said in the beginning of this webinar, that the next time you go to do this cleanse, you'll know what you're up for, and you may like to take a longer pre-tox phase so that you can give your body that opportunity to experience what it feels like to have no stimulants. Because the funny and wonderful thing about stimulants is that they are an illusion. Most of the time they're a catch 22 in that they give you an immediate feeling or experience of having more alertness, uh, but over time, they start to contribute to feelings of burnout, lethargy, crashing, energy crashes, all that sort of stuff. And what most of my clients experience, I myself have also experienced this as well, many times when I've given up caffeine, that once you get over that hump of your body weaning off the stimulants and you go through a bit of a cleanse phase, off stimulants completely, and you're feeding your body with nourishing foods, catching up on really deep sleep, then people start to go, wow, I actually have more energy. I don't have those energy cycles and crashes. I feel my eyes feel brighter, my head feels lighter. It's easier to get out of bed in the morning. Um, so it's just the hardest part in getting to that caffeine free life is going through the weaning phase. So if you're somebody who's considering weaning, this is a nice protocol to do it, rather than by your own merits just going, I'm giving up coffee today. Ah! You know, it usually doesn't end well, or it makes it harder than it needs to be, because I personally believe that if you're going to remove a bad habit, supplement it with a good habit. And this approach to cleansing allows you to wean off the stimulants, but also guides you in adding lots of good, healthy, wholesome foods to your diet that are going to prop up your body with lots of vitamins and minerals, good quality carbs to give you the energy, sustained energy that you need. Um, and then the other factor that contributes to going off stimulants completely being so good for our well-being and boosting our energy is when we don't have caffeine in our bloodstream at all. When we go to sleep at night, you sleep so much deeper because your body is at a proper state of deep rest. When there are stimulants in the body, even if you've crashed out and you feel tired and exhausted, those that stimulant is still coursing through your bloodstream while your body's trying to rest and restore. So one of the most notable differences is the uh, the quality of your sleep, and that's what contributes to also waking up feeling more refreshed and more energized. Um, so there's quite a few factors that are all for supporting you on your no stimulant journey. uh, Another thing you can do during this pre-tox phase is you're weaning off some of the foods as well. So this is quite good. Uh, just like with stimulants, we don't want to shock the body. We don't want to shock the doshas either, psychologically or physically. Um, Fast, harsh transitions often don't end well, including with nutrition. So during this pre-tox phase, you're going through some pre-contemplation, some preparation. You're going through necessary components of the natural process of change, and you're giving yourself a container of time to do that. So you're not lingering and putting it off and putting it off. It's like, okay, I got 4 days to prepare for this, 3 or 4 days. Wean off caffeine. Start stocking your kitchen by looking at the shopping list and going out and stocking your kitchen with all the things that it needs: whole grains, all your favorite produce, supplements and things that are recommended. You don't need all the supplements, but if you would like to support yourself with the supplements, um, don't worry about the brands that I've recommended in the guide. You can just go to your local. I find Flannery's is fantastic for being able to get all the things that you need. Except for, as Samara and I were just chatting about, there's one purgative on there. Oh, well, I mean, it's a laxative, herbal laxative, that is a little bit trickier to get than it used to be, which is Sanity. So you should be able to get psyllium husk and slippery elm from Flannery's. I think most herbal and nutritional sort of whole food stores stock those items. Sanity can be a little bit trickier these days, but where I've always found mine is at Chinese grocery stores, Asian grocery stores. And they're in a package called ballerina tea. There are a few different brands of it. The one I get is just a green box. Um, and it's basically just senna tea bags. I love that they call it ballerina tea, you know. It's like, okay, that's an industry thing for ballerinas for sure. I'm not even going to go there as an ex eating disordered, you know, gymnast and being in that realm of all that kind of stuff that went on. I'm like, yep, okay, they're just calling it as it is. But if you can't find it at your local Asian grocery store, have a look for an online source. For those of you listening in from the Gold Coast, I've always gotten mine at the Supercenter in the middle of Miami. And yes. um, but if you have any troubles with that, let me know and I'll help you source it. So also during your cleanse, don't feel like I can't exercise. It's actually really beneficial to do gentle exercise, yoga asanas. So, you know, that's why I popped the YouTube classes into the daily email so that you've got those to go to. You don't even have to think, you could just jump in. They're all pretty low key beginners classes, so they're actually quite good for this cleanse. And if you like, you can do the workout program that was attached in the cleanse as well. Uh, and walking is fantastic. Going for daily gentle walks. It's a good time to contemplate or meditate, or, you know, with your japa beads, or get out in nature, just refresh your mind, breathe, take some time away from your phone, out of the house. It's a really, really nice complementary movement uh, behavior to add to your cleanse. And so, yes, the optional 3-day flush during this pretox. The reason why I recommend that is just to help with that scraping of armor out of the body to help flush it out. So, the slippery elm and the psyllium mixture is like the sandpaper that kind of dislodges things as it flows through, and helps kind of just create a little bit of separation and, yeah, dislodge things. And then the Sanity helps to relax the bowels so that everything flushes through quite well. So just make sure you stay hydrated throughout the day. Sanity, I cannot express this strongly enough. It is not for long-term use. 3 days, 4 days will be fine, but not longer than that. It's very you can completely stain your digestive system. It's really high in tannins. Very stringent qualities. So just be really mindful to only keep it to the container of this cleanse. So that's what the pretox phase is all about. And then transitioning from that into the detox for 4 to 7 days. I find if you're familiar with the doshas, people who tend to be more vata are, or for people who are dealing with vitiated vata, 3 days is usually feels like a lot. But just see how you go. Sometimes I find on day 3, it's not so much that your body can't keep going, it's that psychologically we hit a bit of a wall. And it's important to take time when you do emotionally hit a wall where you're feeling a little bit flat or down, or like, I can't do this, to, before you give up, do a bit of journaling, do a bit of self reflection, call on somebody that you can talk things through with. You can reach out to me during that time if you like, because it can just be an emotional shift that's happening as you start to, because the mind and body are so intimately connected. So as you work on cleansing the tissues, it can have a knock on effect of emotional release as well, and shifting things or just feeling a little bit down or emotional. It can also be related to a bit of a drop or shift in your hormones too, because if you've given up coffee, you've given up sugar, all these vices that we have that keep us propped up, there can be a little bit of a physiological down shift. But when you work through that and carry on and come out the other side of the cleanse and start choosing to live a little bit differently, a little bit more holistic, it can be the breakdown before the breakthrough type thing. It can be just part of that shift in the journey where things drop, but it allows you to rebuild anew with wholesome foods, without caffeine, with a regulated lifestyle, with perhaps some other new behaviors in place as well. So, all is not lost when you feel that way, but it's good to acknowledge that you're feeling that way. It's really important, whether that's through journaling or talking or just self reflection. But yes, it's all part of the course. So doing during that time, you've got the cleanse protocol you can follow. As I said earlier, adjust it to suit your taste palette and your values and what you prefer to eat, within the context of that orange box. The guidelines in the orange box are the things you need to stick to. And during this time as well, I really recommend just trying to regulate your lifestyle. Dinacharya is such a great template for living life the way nature intended. So, rising with the sun, eating morning, noon, and night, and winding down in the evening and heading to bed by 9 or 10 o'clock. And that will really help to support the cleansing process, and it will give you something to hold on to when the cleanse phase is over. They're the habits that you want to maintain, those essential fundamental habits. There's a life audit test included in this cleanse as well. And that is a little assessment tool that I created for my clients because I wanted to shift away from looking at the body like, oh, how much weight did you lose this week? Oh, tell me about your doshas, you know, um, and let me just look at your tongue, because, yeah, all those assessment tools are absolutely fantastic. But so much of the work that I do is with helping people install healthy behaviors in their life and assisting with the behavior change process. And so the life audit test is a um, nice self reflective tool that can help you to self assess based on that framework of holistic mode of goodness living. There, in the test, you'll see all the behaviors that make up, generally speaking, a healthy, a vibrant, meaningful life. And so, just by looking at some of the behaviors that you scored low on, you can just take a highlighter over those and make a note of them in your journal that, that's something that I probably need to work on to boost my health and vitality. So it's not all about technically the perfectly doshic correct food. Sometimes in a medical situation, yes, that's correct, but quality of life is so important. And some of the big important behaviors get overlooked in favor of technical dieting or technical movement patterns and all these other stuff that it's easy to get hooked into because they're so fascinating. But at the end of the day, if we don't have the fundamentals in place, we find ourselves kind of always feeling a little bit off. So that life audit quiz is for you to keep. If you want to send it through to me, I'm happy to have a look over it and have a conversation with you about it, just to make sure that um, you're getting the most value out of it, and reflecting on what changes need to be made. And if you need a little bit of assistance with that, you can, yes, reach out anytime. Okay, and so the final phase is transitioning to maintenance. So this is where you will go, okay, the cleanse is complete. It's time for me to return to a daily life regime. So transitioning to maintenance is basically going, well, okay, what worked from this cleanse? What was great? And the whole foods are fantastic. The lifestyle regulation, fantastic. Some of the other habits like daily exercise, yoga, meditation, journaling if you need to, self-reflection, all fantastic. But we don't want to live in a restricted way with our diet. So definitely have closure to your cleanse and have a strategy plan for how you're going to continue to eat and maintain your healthy lifestyle. If you need help with that as well, reach out. uh, it's so important. Like, we underestimate how important that component is. I've seen so many people and heard so many stories of people doing really amazing during their cleanse, like really sticking to it, being super committed, not just with this cleanse, but with the more drastic sort of cleanses like the master cleanse, where you're doing lemon water and salt water and maple syrup and things like that, or juice fasts or water fasts. If you're not prepared to transition out of that style of eating, there's so much, it's quite loaded. There is so much that can go wrong if you're not prepared and if you don't have a transition plan in place. When you start to feel food in your belly, that can spin people out psychologically. Um, I feel fat. This is too much. I can't do this. Or, oh my God, this feels so good. I need more, and we can either go to into a bit of a binge, and all the wrong things sometimes as well, like not the right foods to transition off a cleanse or a detox. We tend to go for the, oh my God, what have I been missing out on? Give me all of that, um, and also, yeah, psychologically transitioning back to eating higher density foods can, for some people, be trip them up psychologically and can trigger um, body dysmorphia or anxiety around eating and how much they should eat, overthinking, all that sort of stuff. So just keep in mind that that is a risk when you're transitioning off a cleanse. So it's important to plan out what your new way of life is going to look like after the cleanse. So, as I mentioned, emotionally and mentally, things can feel a little soft and squishy, a little vulnerable during these times. And depending on your constitution or your vitiated dosha, people have a different experience of the mental game of a cleanse. If somebody's a little bit more inclined towards vata or vata imbalances, they may experience the mental game of a cleanse as being um, a little bit more spacey, a little bit more scattered. I just need to go be by myself. I just want to tuck myself away from the world. I feel really sensitive, and it can be that amplified in an overwhelming sense. And so their cleanse experience, their emotional disruption kind of feels like that. Pitta types can feel, um, when they feel emotionally upset, they get mad about things, they get irritable, um, things that they're holding on to, angry about people from the past, come up and they want to talk about it and they want to, dig into it and get mad about it, um, or just irritability in general um, can be the flavor of a pitta's emotional disruption during the cleanse. But it's a really nice time when these things come up. It's a nice time for us to step back and observe, whoa, am I really like that? And where is this coming from? And challenging ourselves to go, do I want to keep carrying on like this? Or how can I temper this experience? How can I balance this experience? How can I temper it? Or in Kapha's case, how can I nurture and yeah, support the Kapha experience, which is often overly emotional, teary, you know, just feeling a little bit down, heavy emotionally. So the doshas can be at play, or you may have a mix of a few of those experiences. Um, that just, yeah, being mindful that we will usually experience it mentally and emotionally as well, not just physically. So what you can do to support yourself during this time is practice mantra meditation. At the end of each video that I posted with the yoga classes, there is a little 2-minute yoga soundscape at the end, which is beautiful mantra music and a really beautiful nature scene. Um, so if you were to do the yoga videos each day, you can do your practice and then lay in shavasana for a couple of minutes or sit up and just practice focusing on immersing yourself in the sound and taking it into your mind and down into your heart and just relaxing in that way. If you already have a mantra meditation practice in place, just going to it in times of need too, making sure that you have your regulated practice, and also when you're feeling a little bit down and out or emotional in some way, um, going to your meditation practice as a form of shelter and as a nurturing practice. Other things you can do to support your mind built into the cleanse is the mode of goodness. So by abiding by Dinacharya, and as you get the emails each day as well, you'll start to go, oh, I mentioned withdrawing from social media a little, being mindful of activities that you engage in and who you're spending time with, maybe making time to journal and things like that. Um, they're all activities, the foods recommended, the practices recommended are all founded in the mode of goodness. Mantra meditation is transcendental to that, but it can enhance and support the cultivation of sattva, the mode of goodness, which is the best place to be for healing, for health, for supporting your mind in a way that you can actually meet challenging experiences and it can be a lesson or it can help you grow. Whereas if we're eating the junk food, we're racing around engaging our mind in all sorts of crazy junk stuff, you might be leaning into more of an influence from the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion, which can make the cleanse experience a little bit torturous. So the way that it's all set up is to support you emotionally and mentally. So if you can install as many of the behaviors as possible and maintain that vegetarian or plant-based whole food diet, it will really help to support your mind. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, you can email me anytime. You can reach out uh, via Facebook Messenger. Uh, Another special thing that I wanted to offer you guys is if you would like, if you're not one of my students or health clients already, um, I have this very simple software that helps me to observe people that I'm supporting. And it's built around the concept and the science of Dinacharya. So, all the things that I've talked about, if you would like assistance for the 7 days that you're in the cleanse, you can email me and I'll send you a login for the 7 days. And all you need to do is at the end of each day, spend 5 or 10 minutes tracking what you ate. So each little bubble, as you can see here on the screen, is a little pink icon. And it's like, okay, tell me about your sleep. Tell me about your morning routine. What did you eat then? How is the quality of your food? Did you exercise today? Did you meditate today? All that sort of stuff. And then there's a little note area at the end as well where you can add in any comments that you have. For women, if you're menstruating or if you want to add any PMS symptoms or any other cycle related stuff, you can pop it in there. If you have any other health related symptoms, if you had any stress triggers that day, if you had any realizations, you can pop it all in that little journal note so that I can work with you on reflecting back, connecting dots, coaching you in your behavior change. And yeah, it's a really nice end of day self reflection uh, tool so that it gets you to hold yourself accountable, but then I'm also there holding you accountable as well. It's very supportive and it's positive. I never drill anyone on, oh, you logged this or you ate that. It's more like, okay, let's observe how you're doing. Let's celebrate the wins. Let's look at what needs to be or what could be tweaked. And hey, here's how a strategy that might help you in going about that. Here's how it's going to help you and serve you. So it's not never black and white. It's always just about me being in it with you in a way that allows me to serve you in a more accurate and supportive way. So if you would like access to that during the 7 day cleanse, please get in touch. I've never done this on a cleanse before, but I really wanted to award it to you guys this time. So feel free to jump on, let me know if you want to make most of that opportunity. But other than that, that is it for me today. I wish you guys all the best on your journey with the cleanse. As I said, let it meet you where you're at and do your best. Let it be a positive experience. Let it be a positive self care, nourishing, wholesome experience. Don't drill yourself over it. You're going to have enough challenges in the cleanse itself, so no need to beat yourself up as well. But yeah, that's it from me. Um, Thank you. All right, so I am going to sign off now and I will be in your inbox tomorrow morning with the recording of this call if you ever want to go back and listen over it again, and also with more info on how to take a small step each day to support yourself through this process. All right, guys, thank you so much.